Architecture CodeX. If you want to see more, like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe.
They call it the Spiral, and it is the newest skyscraper vying for both tenants and identity in the ever-changing New York City commercial real estate market. And it's a jungle out there. Also known as 66 Hudson Boulevard, it is the next building in the Hudson Yard development. This 66-story tower achieves its identity by the series of outdoor terraces that twist around the retreating facade and ascend to the pinnacle of the building. Originally set to be completed this year, it looks as if they will need a couple more to finish. Naturally, anyone investing billions of dollars into a site will take the project very seriously. But the developer, Tishman Speyer, takes it so seriously that on their website they boast, quote, "The Spiral is an unprecedented work of human-centric design," end quote. Is it really worth bragging that you have followed the New York City setback laws, which they do? More justifiable, they also boast that the open floor plan moves seamlessly into the exterior terraces. Domenica Volke, from the architecture firm known as BIG, stated, quote, "In addition to seeing plants in the vertical elevations, we're excited about seeing people at vertical elevations. I would encourage my colleagues to consider that it's not only about giving views, but it's actually, in a sense, giving back to the city by occupying its vertical space." That's rather serious when you consider that open terraces have been a part of residential skyscrapers for over 100 years. But this being part of the Hudson Yards development, I hope these open terraces don't have the same problems that have vexed the vessel. The building was designed by the Danish firm Bjarke Ingels Group, aka BIG Architecture, who also designed via West 57th Street, Architecture Codex video number 17. Like most famous big-name firms, they probably did the concept and left the hard design work to Adamson Associates, who has a very impressive resume, having done the design work and construction documents for some very famous buildings for some very famous architects. Images of the future of the Spiral feature that helix of trees, bushes, and green growth. I am skeptical about such claims when I see computer-generated images that make it look easy and inevitable. I like trees, and I live where I can be near them, but a tree in the woods has a root system as big as the canopy of leaves. There's a lot of precious below-level real estate that would be necessary to bring trees and bushes to a skyscraper. And the cost for that extra structure, hydration systems, maintenance, etc., are extensive. And I wonder how they will address that. What prop tech will they use to bring nature to the skyscraper? And if by sustainable you mean reducing your carbon footprint, have they done a calculation to show that the carbon dioxide converted by a tree to oxygen will justify all the extra carbon dioxide released in the extraction of materials, the production of the materials, and the installation of the materials to accommodate this tree in a skyscraper? And I know that when I design a building in this region, I have to make sure that nothing blows off the roof in winds exceeding 100 miles per hour. How are they going to secure the trees and branches when exposed to the winds that pound New York City skyscrapers? But when I first saw the Spiral and those future green terraces, I did not think sustainable architecture. Instead, it looked like to me that the facade had cracked and shifted. And I was reminded of those broken buildings, built tongue-in-cheek style by the retail firm known as Best and designed by the architecture firm known as Site. Being in retail allowed their architecture to be less serious. Some even call them artsy, and probably would create all sorts of postmodern deconstructivist theories on how it might represent the ultimate demise of brick and mortar shopping. But I think it was done for fun. And I am not sure it is a bad thing to have a building be fun, almost like a joke. But I do recognize that going back to the same building again and again might be like hearing the same joke again and again. And that can become less entertaining as the years go on. Just ask my wife. Sight was a firm whose roots were in sculpture. Led by James Wines, the firm started working with Sidney and Francis Lewis of Best Stores to add art to their retail establishments, the forerunner of today's big box stores. Wines, a successful sculptor, was sick of doing what he called turds in a plaza and was inspired to make the store the sculpture. The first being Peeling Facade in Richmond, Virginia in 1971. They built a total of 8 of these showrooms across the nation. But by the 1990s, retail had changed enough that Best declared bankruptcy and most of their stores were sold and demolished. Only the Forest Building, designed to represent an abandoned building overgrown with trees, remains, repurposed as a church in 2000. Ironically, we are back to trees as a means to soften architecture. People like nature, whether it is the arid Arizona desert or the lush forests of the hills of the Hudson Valley. But nature will ultimately devour anything that humankind makes. Take a look at an abandoned building. It does not take long for animals and plants to alter it and begin to reclaim that space. And after 2 centuries, there may not be any evidence that there was a building there. Do you want trees to encompass your architecture structure? Be careful what you wish for. I'm Michael Molinelli, and this is Architecture Codex.